Hey guys, and welcome to the wrap up, the official Raptors Republic post game live show. We're here after maybe the most demoralizing loss of the season to the Charlotte Hornets, 114 to 104. Surprisingly, only a 10-point loss for the Charlotte Hornets, or sorry, for the Toronto Raptors, I should say. Um, Oren, we talked last was it? No, it wasn't last night. 2 nights ago about how we were zapped of energy after a Tony Snell buzzer beater.
Mhm.
This game, normally we start with the most interesting points of the game, and this game did not have many, especially for Toronto. Um, you can argue all the interesting parts of this game came from Charlotte's side. I mean, LaMelo had a great game. Devontae Graham was shooting lights out. It seemed like almost every Hornet had a good game. Um, this is hard to say because honestly, like I said, it's one of the worst games of the season for us to watch. If I wasn't doing this post game live show, would I have tuned out of this game? Likely, probably would have moved to the Brooklyn Nets game. Oren, the Raptors have a game tomorrow against Chicago. Zach LaVine looks like one of the best guards in the league right now. Can I take the over on him on if it's set at 35 points? Am I allowed to take the over?
Yeah, man. You can do whatever you want with your money. You know who the Raptors looked like tonight, especially in the first half. I thought they really resembled one of the teams I've had my eyes on recently. The East Los Angeles College Huskies. What you know about them, bro? Coach Mosley would have been pissed in that first
Oh,
quarter.
man.
Mosley
Yeah,
would have reamed into those guys, eh?
yeah, no, 100%. That is a Netflix show. I honestly might finish off that show tonight.
I'm on episode 4, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
Okay, a serious question. I have a
yeah.
serious question.
Okay.
Who would win a game? That Raptors team or the Raptors 905?
Um, the Raptors, but literally the only reason why is because of Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
That's because literally what Kyle Lowry was playing with tonight was essentially the Raptors 905. People were making jokes about it on Twitter.
I don't
Um,
know. Alize Johnson is better than like half of those guys. I hate
yeah.
to say it. I hate to say it, but he's
Speaking of
at
the
least
Raptors
as good.
905, Oren, it was good to see Jalen Harris get run at the end of the game. We also
Yeah.
saw our Canadian darling, no pun intended, Nate Darling get some run out there as well.
Yeah.
Um, Again, this is a game. It's like we can't. Normally, what we do is we pinpoint on what Toronto could have done better or what they did really well. Toronto didn't really do much well in this game. Anything that stood out
True.
to you defensively, offensively for Toronto in this game? What kind of just led them astray in this one?
For sure. The thing that stood out to me, like,
Yeah,
we'll briefly talk about the game because I know people don't want 45 minutes on it, but just to hit on the main points, the transition defense, especially in that first half, was garbage. Like,
yeah,
and transition defense is one of those things that doesn't take skill. It really just takes hustle and focus. So you have to sprint back. You can't jog back. Coach Mosley says it all the time. And also you have to match up with someone. Even if it's not your guy, you need to find someone and you need to match up with them if they're running the floor. And the Raptors just weren't doing that. And it just led to like a lot of open threes, like very, very open threes. They hit 11 threes in that first quarter. And yeah, you could say 9 of them were wide open. So it wasn't surprising at all that they hit them that well. Toronto just they were jogging back, which there's really no excuse for after 2 days off and knowing that you have to come out strong. And they're not matching up. They're just like no one's taking the ball handler to the point where Baines has to take the ball handler because he's the only one back. And then obviously he's getting blown by because he's Aaron Baines. So I think from there, what about like why is Aaron Baines still starting? Why is Chris Boucher not
yeah.
starting at this point in the season?
No, it's hard because for me, Oren, it's like who do I even start with in this game? We shot 38% from the field. Didn't shoot well from three. Again, it felt like another game where a team just barraged us from 3-point line. And honestly, the Hornets missed a lot of their threes in the second half. At one point, they were, I think, 14 for 21 in the game. They ended up 21 for 49, still 43%.
They had a season high turnovers and still blew out the Raptors.
Yeah, Raptors forced a whole lot of turnovers. 28 is a lot, and that's just proof that this is not a good team that we're watching. We kind of knew that already. Raptors are missing three of their five best players. This was one of those games where I was almost watching I kind of had to flip my point of view, where I had to watch it from the Charlotte Hornets side and kind of not root for them, but just change my mindset, because I was tired of rooting for Toronto to hit shots and to create offense. And it looked really bad. Almost every single player out there, when Charlotte had their starters in, there was just a massive defensive mismatch. There was no intent. Like, when you're already shorthanded, Oren, and you're in a position where you almost have to play a perfect game defensively to kind of offset how atrocious, honestly, offensively Toronto was tonight. When you're in that situation, and then on top of that, you're not showing the defensive intensity that you need. You're leaving Chris Boucher and Aaron Baines out to dry in the paint because of the lackluster perimeter defense. There's just one play where Kyle Lowry and Terrence Davis are at the top of the key. They're playing a 2-3 zone. And Kyle, for some reason, I know a lot of people are making jokes on Twitter. Oh, his controller turned off. Oh, this happened. Oh, and it's like, Terrence Davis, by the way, why in a 2-3 defense are you going low to the back right when it's like you were playing that defense for the last 3-4 possessions? Why does Kyle Lowry have to yell at you to come forward on the 2-3 to play up top with him? Like, why does that even have to happen? And that was a microcosm of just the lack of focus from Toronto defensively. I mean, we expect that at this point from Terrence Davis. Again, he has his pros, he has his massive cons. One of them being just defensively unaware completely. Anthony Doyle had a funny tweet, but honestly, it wasn't even funny. It was pretty. It was the truth. Terrence Davis, when you watch him, is like, he is one of the most defensively unaware players in the league.
Yeah, he's one of the lowest IQ.
Yeah,
players. Sorry, but it's true.
It's true.
He can shoot the ball, but not an IQ player.
Exactly. He did hit shots at some points for Toronto, when they needed shots to be made. But it's like, what's the point if Kyle has to tell him like how to play a 2-3 zone at the highest level of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, everyone played tonight, so
yeah,
they had no choice. He was going through the whole rotation until someone stepped up, and no one did. That's the sad thing. Literally, none of the role players had a good game. That's embarrassing. Like, you would go into a game like this without your top 3 guys or 3 of your top 4, and you know that a few guys are going to have to step up. Like, 2 nights ago, we said it. We said Boucher and Norm played amazing today, but you can't rely on that every single game for them to combine for 60. It's just not realistic. Other guys have to set up. Watson, Stanley, Baines, whoever, Paul, whatever. Yeah, like, the play that stood out to me, because just you talking about that reminded me of this, was the end of the first quarter. You could see the disorganization on offense too. And it's really surprising because you're not used to seeing the Raptors this lacking focus and disorganized. But the last play of the first quarter, when Powell they had 8 seconds to get a shot off, and Powell passes it to Boucher with 1.5 seconds left. Obviously, he didn't get a shot off. It was just a shocking display of, like, I don't know what he was thinking. No, he didn't have a good shot because no one screened for him. No one helped him out, but he also made a really bad pass. It was just like, how do you not even get a shot off in a situation like that? I don't know.
Yeah, it was bad. There's so many plays. I think if you're watching this game as a fan of the Toronto Raptors, there's so many plays that might have just stuck out to you of how lackluster Toronto was playing. Defensively, for me, was what stuck out. There was a point in that game, Oren, where I legitimately thought Hornets were going to drop 80 on us in the first half. Like, that was legit, like, all-star game numbers. We're talking like they weren't missing shots. Like I said, 14 for 21 from 3 at one point of the game. Being 14 for 21 from the field is good enough. but being 14 for 21 from three is a whole different story. They broke their franchise record. So what is that, Orm? That is Anthony Edwards, dunk of the decade.
No, we're a poverty franchise this season. Straight.
Hornets, Hornets broke their franchise record, almost like broke the entire record of 3-pointers made in a half. I mean, what's next? I mean, Zach LaVine's might go for 82.
Oh man,
uh,
Zach LaVine. Who's guarding Zach LaVine? Stanley Johnson.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. It's definitely not going to be fun. The Hornets destroyed.
Let's talk about LaMelo.
Transition. Yeah, no, I was going to say that's literally what I wanted to get to. So LaMelo Ball, this is a guy that like even in my own like friend circles, this is a guy that like always comes up, right?
What's his top shot going for?
Thousands, absolute nice. Thousands. I honestly wish I could I wish I could have got my hands on a LaMelo Ball when I first joined Top Shot because now he's the hottest thing out. But LaMelo Ball looked like a superstar today. Took advantage of a Toronto team that looked like they just didn't want to be there. It looked like a scrimmage more than anything for Toronto. LaMelo Ball, and this is what I'm about to say is probably going to be a little crazy to some people. I do think LaMelo Ball is in line and on pace to win the Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's pretty clear cut, right?
Yeah.
But Oren, I don't know if you're going to agree with me here, but I do think that he doesn't have the highest ceiling in this draft. I think it was actually the guy who went first overall, and that's Anthony Edwards. The reason I say that is because, LaMelo, I think had, I don't want to call it a head start on the rest of, his draft classmates, but he did play pro before he even came in the league. Yes, it was in Australia, but you're still getting, defended by grown men rather than, 17-year-old wiry athletes in the NCAA. With LaMelo, that's first of all, that's where the first kind of arguments start in my friend circles, because a lot of my friends are LaMelo. He is this, he's that, he's going to be Doncic level, future Hall of Famer, and I'm like, whoa, press the brakes, wait a sec. LaMelo's really good, but I think LaMelo's at a stage in his career where obviously the hype is at its peak. LaMelo is at a point where I don't think a lot of people realize that when you're very good in this league, there comes a point in your career where I want to say you reach a point where you get, what's the right word? I don't want to say hounded by.
You get game planned for.
Yeah, you get game planned for, but even in general NBA circles, from fans alike, they start seeing the flaws in your game, and you get hounded for that. James Harden's a guy that absolutely dominated when he first came to Houston, came from OKC, went to Houston. People were like, what the hell? This guy's one of the best scorers in the league. No one thought that was possible. Yes, they saw flashes in OKC. Then in his third, fourth, fifth year, people were like, okay, this guy's giving up defensively. They started nitpicking his game. We're not there yet with LaMelo where people are nitpicking his game. I think we're just enjoying his game so far. And tonight was a good example of why this guy's the clear-cut, I think, front runner of Rookie of the Year. You probably agree with me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm higher, I think, on LaMelo. I'm higher on him than I am on Anthony Edwards, though I think that's entirely possible what you're saying. Edwards could end up having a better career because he has the athleticism and the shooting to be a go-to scoring wing who can create his own shot. You still trust him probably at the end of a game. I mean, maybe not now, but I could definitely see him developing into the guy who you trust more at the end of the game to get a bucket than LaMelo.
Yeah.
And the other thing, this has actually been a hotly debated topic. I was listening to The Mismatch, and Kevin O'Connor was arguing with his co-host about, basically Kevin O'Connor said he would take LaMelo over Trae Young or Ja Morant. And his co-host is a Ja Morant guy, so they had a good argument. But his co-host argument was the same thing. He basically said Ja has seen it all and proved that even as the number one guy getting game plan for, he can do it. Ja literally had a career high in his first play-in game. So Ja has it, whatever it is. And he was basically LaMelo just hasn't proved that. And that's true. LaMelo has not been game planned for as the number one option. But in a game like tonight, Toronto didn't game plan for him as the number one, maybe, but he tore the Raptors apart, and like there was nothing they could do to stop him. It felt to me like when he was playing, every bucket was either him or him assisting on it or him
Yeah.
leading the hockey assist, because like he's just such a good passer. He sees the floor so well. Like all guys really have to do. The Raptors defense, like one play sticks out to me, looked really crisp. They might have been in a zone, but it was set. Everything was good. LaMelo had it on top of the arc. Someone made a cut to like the nail. LaMelo made such a good pass. Like it was so on time and so hard that like as soon as he made the cut, he got the ball as soon as he got there. And then it was just like one dribble because his defender wasn't there yet. The second defender had to come help. And then the layoff to Bismack, and then Bismack dunked it. It was a lot of that. It was a lot of like LaMelo just seeing things develop a little early, making the pass, and then from there your defense is already rotating just because the passes are crisp.
Yeah, that's one thing about LaMelo that makes him so special is not necessarily his ability to manipulate defenders on the court and get to where he wants to go and just find open guys, but it's the actual, like when you really start to delve into his playmaking, like the location of his passes are incredible. Like it's almost like he can see, like Devontae Graham, for example, is a guard for the Hornets where he's one of the best in the league, in my opinion, at shooting off balance 3-point shots. So he'll be like kind of shifting to his left or shifting to his right, and he can shoot it with his body contorted. His body doesn't have to be necessarily set for Devontae Graham. And I think that helps LaMelo a lot. But I've noticed that guys like Miles Bridges, who are they known for their shooting? Probably not. Gordon Hayward, can he shoot? Yes, absolutely. Terry Rozier, yes, absolutely. But he's so good at finding guys in their perfect set spot as they're moving to their position. I've noticed Terry Rozier does it a lot where he's curling around, sometimes literally curls around the entire 3-point line almost, and finds a shot. LaMelo finds him in the corner in, rhythm. And that's why you saw a lot of those Hornets threes drop. I mean, if you play basketball, you know that if you catch a ball in rhythm, before you even get to that release, you just have a certain confidence with that shot. And LaMelo's so good at that. He's just so good with his, precise ball location, with his playmaking. He's a guy that, I mean, if you don't enjoy at this point watching the Charlotte Hornets, I don't know what to tell you, because they've been one of the most fun teams to watch in the league. They have a swagger, they have an identity, they play for each other.
Yeah, they love each other. That stood out to me.
Yeah.
Like they were playing in front of fans for the first time this season, so maybe that added a little juice to them. But they just looked like they were having so much fun compared to what the Raptors have looked like this season. And I'm not just talking about this game, obviously, with all their main guys out, but all season the Raptors have just looked like it's not the vibes. The vibes aren't there, and
Yeah, they're not.
and
No.
Charlotte's a good example of a team where you see the difference, like because they love playing for each other. But yeah, like LaMelo, like he did something that Kyle usually does, which is like he dictated the pace of that game.
Yeah.
Part of that was that they just made shots and the Raptors didn't, but the Hornets they were killing the Raptors in transition, and there was nothing the Raptors could do to stop them because it was they were turning the ball over constantly, and then they were never scoring, and on the other end of the floor the Raptors were giving up bucket after bucket, so they couldn't run themselves after rebounds. So yeah, impressive stuff from LaMelo tonight.
Super impressive. Sorry guys if you're watching this and we're lacking a little more energy than usual. Me and Oren. I mean, if you're lying to yourself, honestly, if you expected us to come in here like we were hopped up on, Red Bull or whatever it is, after a game like that. Yes, the Raptors only lost by 10 points. But goodness gracious, that was, one of, I think, the most demoralizing games, like I said earlier, of the season, if not the most demoralizing.
I know people want to be like, all the main guys are out, so how can you expect anything? But like, this is kind of a big game because you go into tomorrow. Tomorrow's basically a schedule loss. Like it's a back-to-back. The Raptors are 1-6 on back-to-backs this season. They still won't have their guys back tomorrow. It's going to be a loss. And then on top of that, Charlotte is battling with you for playoff seeding, right? They're right in the mix there. So this was kind of a big game. and not even a good effort from Toronto. So that's the disappointing thing. And then I am a little worried because right now the Raptors, those three guys have been out for so long that
Yeah.
people are speculating that it's no longer health and safety protocols. People think they actually have COVID. I don't want to speculate, but it is true that they've been out for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So if they do have COVID, if a couple of those guys do have COVID and they have to fight back from that, like, what does that mean for this team going into the trade deadline?
Yeah, for sure. I was literally going to mention that after the Atlanta Hawks game, I was thinking, okay, maybe we're gonna get OG back, maybe we're gonna get Fred back, maybe we're gonna get Pascal back, or maybe all three. And if we don't get them back for this game, we're definitely gonna get them back for Chicago. Doesn't look like they're gonna be back for Chicago. Might not even be back after that. We'll have to see.
And
But
even
like you said,
McCaw and Flynn are actually would both be really helpful right now. They would both be steps up
yeah,
over Davis.
yeah, and that's where we are. That's unfortunately that's where we are, Raptors fans. We've reached the stage where we're telling ourselves that Patrick McCaw and Malachi Flynn can really work them to do something, to insert some sort of energy into this team. It sucks. Like I said, it sucks when you're missing guys, but then on top of that, the energy's missing.
Yeah. But if that's the case, man, if they have COVID, like it makes the front office's decision making a whole lot easier to say we're sellers. Like
yeah.
if we don't have these guys playing healthy before the trade deadline, there's no way they can say we're gonna buy and compete for like a playoff spot. I just don't. I think it makes the decision making a lot harder. As in, we're gonna take this year off and be good again next year. So we'll see, because Jason Tatum, not Bol, what's his name on Orlando Magic? Mo Bamba. Apparently, he's been out with COVID symptoms for like weeks and weeks now. Like he hasn't even been able to return to the floor.
Yeah.
Zach Lowe was talking on his podcast about how he got COVID in March and like how he for months felt like the fatigue from it. So it's one of those things that like it screws with players for sure.
Yeah.
Zach's a player in my mind.
I don't know if you're following the live chat. We got a nice little message from our colleague, Lucas Weiss. He left a nice little message for us. Oren and Sahal, great job with the show, guys. Keep it up. Thanks, Lucas, if you're watching. We appreciate that for sure. This isn't, honestly, if this is your first time watching, this is probably, this just isn't who we are. No, the Charlotte Hornets, I feel like, are a team that we know is on the upswing, Oren. They're a team with Terry Rozier, who had a great game himself. He's a guy that when he first got that contract, I'm going to admit it. I'm the type of guy, I'll admit my losses. I'll take my L's where they come. I thought that Terry Rozier contract was, I don't want to say crazy, but I thought he was overpaid.
Yeah, same.
$18 million a year. A lot of people on Twitter were agreeing with me. Oren says it's the same for him. So, but now, what Terry Rozier is doing for that team, he looks like a $20+ million. Like if you're okay with paying Fred 21 a year, you should be okay with paying Terry 21 a year. And he's getting paid 18. So like I said, Terry's on a very good contract for them. LaMelo's obviously going to be on a controlled rookie contract for a few years. Devontae Graham's a guy that's been in trade discussions because just naturally with LaMelo kind of in that rookie of the year discussion and then Terry Rozier playing borderline all-star level, Devontae Graham's kind of like that one guy that was left out of the hoop. Devontae looks like he fits to me. Obviously not that great of a defender, but when you have a shooter like that who can, go 5 for 9 in a game, give you 20 plus on any given night, I'm personally keeping him. And then they got guys like PJ Washington and Miles Bridges who are developing. Cody Zeller's there as well. He's on a contract. But Biyombo's always been, a pretty good depth big in this league. Charlotte Hornets are a team on the upswing. Are the Raptors on the upswing? You probably couldn't say so now. But their Raptors, again, fully healthy, are a team that, you expect to beat the Charlotte Hornets. Do you agree with me, Oren, or?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they did beat them twice already this season. Yeah. The Raptors did. So Charlotte's, they're a good story. They honestly have a pretty deep team when you look at like the fact that Malik Monk comes off the bench, as does um what's his name?
The Martin brothers, they're pretty good
Martin
as well.
Brothers, but also yeah, what's his PJ Washington and Miles Bridges. Miles Bridges comes off the bench too.
Yeah, he does.
So that's like 8, 9 really good NBA players. And the Raptors really, if you're talking depth, I would take the Hornets depth for sure. But obviously, when we look at top end talent, I'm sticking with the Raptors young core. I'm still very hopeful for the future. Or not even hopeful. I'm very high on the Raptors' future. They're going to be just fine. But this season is definitely looking more and more like a transition one, where you're a little more looking at the lottery. You're beginning to look at those prospects a little
I saw,
more.
Oren, I saw the Cade Cunningham pictures come out again. Kind of worried me.
The lottery odds are changed. The
They
odds are
are
changed.
changing. Yeah, they're changing day by day. And like I said, the East is super tight. The Raptors, they need to rack up some wins when they get healthy to get back in that playoff picture. But right now, these games, I mean, the Atlanta game, now you look back at the Atlanta game, and that's definitely one that you feel
Oh,
like,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that
felt
was
it at the
a
time.
little more than it did 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
uh, which is unfortunate. Some cool messages on the live chat coming in. Victor said, I kept watching to see if we moved somebody mid-game like Dallas did to Harrison Barnes. This would have probably been the game to do it, definitely, Victor. And then he said, I hope we don't make it. I'm assuming he's referring to the playoffs. He said, I hope we don't make it. Hashtag fade for Cade.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a popular thing. And honestly, this is the first time all season where I've said, like, yeah, maybe they actually will miss the playoffs, but that's really only speculating if these guys miss more time or they come back and they're not even close to being who they were. But I mean, if everyone comes back healthy and ready to go, not Chicago, but the game after that, Raps are going to be fine in terms of getting into the play in at least.
Mhm.
But yeah, what do you think? I know you hate Aaron Baines, but do you think there's any reason that Nurse is still starting him over Boucher?
Um, trying, I'm trying not to get canceled here. No, with Aaron Baines, I've said, I've personally said, like, even with OG out, OG, by the way, when he's healthy, he's at the 5, right? Even with OG out, I've said multiple times that Chris Boucher should be the starter on this team. Like, it's gone to the point where I can't make any more excuses. I can't say, well, there's better balance, there's better this, there's better that, because Oren, as far as we saw, when Aaron Baines got moved to the bench and OG Anunoby moved into the starting lineup as the 5, Baines looked a lot more comfortable. He looked a lot more comfortable going up against, the end of rotation guys on other teams. I understand, starting Baines if you're going up against, the unicorn big men of the league, like the Embiids and the Jokic's and the, I guess even Giannis maybe for the interior defensive ability that apparently a lot of Raptors fans still think Baines has. But no, I don't see why he starts. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do anything on the court, in my opinion, better than Chris Boucher. Like, I literally, maybe other than taking charges, like, there's literally nothing like, Chris Boucher is more active on the glass. He's a better shooter. He runs the floor better in transition. He's a better finisher at the rim. He's just a bigger threat on the court. And I don't know why Baines continuously finds himself on the court. Who knows? It could be one of those things where, the Raptors don't want to look foolish, I guess you could say, because they gave him that, $7 million a year contract, and they don't just want that to go to a waste. But the Raptors don't come off as that organization where, they look at your contract and they say, oh, because you're getting paid this much, you're going to play this much. No.
No.
I don't know. I can't. That's one of those things.
Boucher makes more money than him, I think.
Yeah, Boucher's just right around his number, if not higher. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't speak for Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is a guy that we know is one of the top coaches in the league. He doesn't make many mistakes, but this is one of those things where I'm left baffled. I don't understand why Aaron Baines continues to get more than 3 minutes on the court.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think he's at the point where he just needs to be a specialist, where you bring him off the bench, or like you said, you start him against specific big matchups. But you like looking at the on-off numbers, it's pretty simple. He has the highest plus minus on this entire team, not even the bench, the entire team. And Baines is like the second or third lowest. He's one of the worst drivers of success. So start Boucher, put Baines in his specialty role off the bench. And especially against a team like Charlotte, it just doesn't make sense because it's a perimeter oriented team. They don't have good center play at all. It's not like they're killing you in the post. They're killing you in the perimeter. So getting a guy like Boucher to start just makes it way more sense as in terms of like a mobile center who
Mhm.
honestly is just as strong as like Cody Zeller. You know, it's not like he's getting bodied by Zeller. So that decision today made no sense, especially after how last game went and the Hawks got off to a really good start. So every game the Raptors now, it seems like they're getting into a bad start when Baines plays, and so it's just like it's starting to get a little bit weird.
Yeah, no, it is. It's gotten to the point where we're really starting to question the rotation decisions, I think, by Nick Nurse. Again, does he have many options? Probably not. I mean, you could try out Stanley at the 5, in spurts. You can try that out just because he has a similar build to
I
OG
don't think
Anunoby.
you can though, because the difference is that you need players who can play that style to double and then to contest shots and then but get back to their rotations and that this group that they're playing with, like without Siakam, OG, and Fred, you just don't have those guys. So like, yeah, Stanley can hang with centers like OG can, but the rest of the personnel around him, I don't think can play that like hectic small ball style.
Yeah. So do they go for PJ Tucker on the buyout market when he gets bought out? Who knows?
He's not
Um,
getting bought out, man. He's getting traded, I think.
yeah, I think he'll get traded. I mean, for teams like the Nets, well, we always mention the Nets for when it comes to the buyout market and the Lakers, of course, but those type of teams would definitely. I think it makes sense for them to give up a second round pick or even two for PJ Tucker just to
Yeah,
solidify the rotation a little more.
yeah.
Um,
I'd
would
be
you?
down if Drummond gets bought out. That looks like it could happen. He'd probably choose the Lakers, but obviously that'd be a nice pick if he chose Toronto on the buyout market.
Yeah, for sure.
We're down bad. Let's
We're
move. Let's
so down
end it. Let's
bad.
end it.
Yeah, we're gonna end it here, guys. This is probably our shortest episode in quite a while. A very unfortunate night for the Toronto Raptors. They ended up losing the game 114 to 104 to the Charlotte Hornets. It was, again, an awful game to watch for the Raptors. They are back tomorrow against the Chicago Bulls. Hopefully, you'll see a more engaged Toronto Raptors. But before you guys leave us tonight, we need you to obviously like, comment, and subscribe. This video, our last video, and the thousands of videos we did before this. No, we haven't done 1,000 videos. But again, this was the
You
wrap
have
up.
nothing better to do, guys. Be honest with yourselves.
Yeah, literally. We want to also thank our sponsor before we go, Arif Qureshi from Remax, for supporting the show. But we will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. And hopefully by this time tomorrow,
Hopefully.
the Bean doesn't have 56 points and the Raptors don't lose by 10 to 20 points again. So that's it for me, guys. Take care. Have a good one. This is the wrap up.